Do you sometimes feel invisible? Like, I'm the mom here and my children don't listen to me. My partner is doing their own thing and I'm kind of getting lost. And I'm saying, no, I've had enough. If you are ready and you are ready to take that next step, I've got Paige here, a clinical social worker that helps you through your feels. She's non-judgmental. She gets it because she's a mom too. And we're finally ready to say something, to find her voice, to say, I matter. But then more emotion and more feelings come up. And this is a new thing. So Paige, walk us through this. How do we do this?
Thanks again for having me, Michelle. So I'm really excited to talk about this because I think it's so important, something that can be helpful for many people. So finding your voice is really difficult as a mom. There's so many things going on and there's a lot of pressure and stress. And sometimes we just like take it on ourselves and we're like, I can just do it myself because that's going to be quicker, easier. I've got this streamlined. So I think finding your voice can be really helpful to start to prevent that burnout, because you can ask other people for help with things, to do things that you don't have to do, and to start to give some tasks to other people. I think doing that can be really difficult. And one of the things that I think is helpful to start that is to really have a quiet moment of what you think you need. Noticing, like, am I taking on too much? What could I give away? What could be helpful if someone else did? And thinking about that might be helpful to write that down and really think about, like, in your heart and your gut, what you think you need in that moment. So once you have figured out what you need, might be feeling a little bit like anxious to have that conversation, or it might feel like it's going to be difficult to have that conversation. So something that I might do is to do a little breathing exercise, just super quickly, paced breathing. You breathe out for longer than you breathe in. And that can really help slow your body down and slow anxious thoughts down. You can definitely look that up on YouTube if you want a little bit more information about paced breathing.
That's amazing.
And slowing yourself down, grounding into it before having that conversation can be helpful. I also think, like, planning what you want to say can also be helpful. So what do I want to say? What's my, like, most important thing to get across? And what's important for me? Is it the outcome of the conversation? Is it maintaining my self-respect in the conversation, and that I'm not getting really angry or really tearful during that conversation? And so what I'm saying is being heard.
Yes. So great points. So we want to, what is it that I need? And I think sometimes that's really tough. What is it that I need? Because I have been just on autopilot. I have been surviving instead of thriving. And now I'm saying, wait a minute, this doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
I'm ready to take that next step. I actually don't know what I need. And so this is where reaching out to somebody like you, a social worker, a lot of people feel like, well, I have to have an anxiety disorder or depression to see a therapist. And that's not it at all. My therapist changed my life. I learned to be assertive. I learned to find my voice with my therapist, and it's finding that connection and then having those tools. So, okay, so I've decided now that I'm going to find my voice. So I'm going to write down what I need. Well, then emotions come up. So I love the idea of the paced breathing. But what else can you do when your emotions come up? Because emotions come up and some of us explode, some of us shut down.
Yeah.
And majority, I mean, I coach parents to validate their child's emotion. What are they going through? Try and imagine what they're going through. And it's like, no one ever did that to you. No one's doing that to you right now. You may not even be doing it for yourself. So I'm new at this. So I feel these emotions. My go-to is to shut down, lash out, whatever it is. What are some of the things that I can do to deal with that emotion when it comes up? Because especially, I'm a recovering pleaser. I go and talk to somebody and I'm starting to feel the anxiety. Oh, never mind. I'm not going to say that. Never mind. I'm fine. We didn't need to meet. Or I'm just going to tell you one thing, right?
Yeah.
That's it. I just want to say hi. What do you do with those emotions?
Thank you. That's so great. And I can definitely relate to like feeling anxious during conversations that are difficult. So
Yeah.
I think like one of the best things and one of the starter things is like recognize that like, oh, I'm
Mhm.
starting to feel really anxious. I'm noticing changes in my body. So you can say that in your head, and even
Mhm.
just like labeling what you're feeling can actually help to bring it down, even like a half point, which is
Mhm.
helpful in those
Yeah.
difficult conversations.
Yeah.
I also think being able to ground yourself into that present moment can help to keep you there. So when I say ground yourself, that might be like pushing your feet kind of down into the floor, maybe putting your, if you're sitting, like your hands on something that feels like stable and hard, sitting up a little bit, trying to take those like deep breaths down into the bottom of your lungs, looking around you, noticing like right now I can see a pen or my lamp or this orange cup that's here. So noticing things that are around you, which can help you to be able to stay in that conversation.
Mhm.
I think if your emotions are starting to get just really big and you're starting to go like 8, 9, 10 out of 10, and it's just so difficult to stay in, that it's okay to take a break and leave that conversation, tell the other person, I'm going to come back to this. I just need a few minutes, and exiting and then coming back when you feel like more ready to have that
Mhm.
conversation, and to plan ahead for those things. So think about, what's my go-to? Do I get angry in those kinds of conversations? Do I get anxious in those kinds of conversations? How do I see myself coping through that and using the skills that I know to get through it? So looking ahead and planning ahead can be helpful.
Wonderful. And such good tips. And it's going to be easier for some people. Some people are like, confrontation, no problem. You got a problem with
Yeah.
me? Let's work this out. Somebody
Yeah.
wants to confront me. Someone even just says, "Hey, Michelle, we need to talk. What did I do wrong? Did I say something?" But you go through all these things
Yeah.
and then you meet with them and it's nothing.
And it's
I just
fine.
worked myself up. I'm sweating, I'm like
Yeah.
prepared. What am I going to say? Like, and then you get in and it's like, oh, geez. So we have to, and it's that awareness, right? All the things that you were talking about, grounding, being mindful, being aware of our body, taking those pauses. I mean, this is a lot of work, and some people have been doing this for years, other people are
Yeah.
just starting this. So I think it's giving yourself a break, going through the steps, and that you have to feel uncomfortable with you have to feel comfortable with feeling
Yeah.
uncomfortable,
That's
and
hard.
tolerating that and
Yeah.
not running away from it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. To allow yourself to feel the feels and to try to stay in it. And if that is a totally new concept for you, then definitely connecting to somebody who's a professional in the field might be able to help you figure out like how to like stay in those conversations, or how to help like ground you during those conversations. So you
Yeah,
feel like your voice is getting out, and you feel like what you are desiring is being heard, and that those needs are being met, because that's important.
exactly. Because the payout is that you're not going to feel so overwhelmed. You're going to start surviving instead of thriving. And all those emotions of overwhelm and resentment, that we're doing everything and we're caring about everybody else and no one listens to us, that
Mhm.
piles up too. So those layers will start falling off of you, and it's going to be amazing, what that feeling is going to be like. So it's worth it, but it's going to be harder for some people than others. So
That's
much good information. Thank you, Paige. Again, I hope you found that helpful, and stay tuned for our next video, because we're talking about when things don't go so well, even though we're saying all the right things. So we'll see you then.
Thank you. Bye.